Hi there, and welcome to another episode here on Bustthenet. Yes, this is Gamechanger, and it's a chance for me to delve into your safe. I'm already smiling, laughing. I'm in pain. I don't know what to say. Somebody's played a cruel joke on me. I'm a Liverpool fan, and he's asked me to manage Everton. Even if that's not bad enough, it's against Liverpool. Ouch! What am I supposed to do? Should I go on holiday mode? Should I just ignore this whole thing? I just close my eyes and hope for the best. Yes, this is painful. This is so painful, but we shall persevere. You've got an away match against Liverpool. Team report. Let's look at your boys beforehand and see how they do. Okay, in terms of, I had a look at your positioning for your mentals for your defenders. Now, one thing struck me. 13.25. That's pretty low. That's below the league average, which is like 15. Now, I guarantee you off the ball is going to be close to 15 as well. So if I'm looking at this is the mentals. Let's look at off the ball. For defenders, it's only 12, but nobody cares about defenders off the ball. We care about these midfielders off the ball. So it's 14.25. I was right. And then off the ball for strikers is even crazier. It's 17.67. It's almost 18 for strikers. So the strikers of the ball is running at 18, midfielders is running at 15, and your positioning for your boys is 13.25. So now can you see how you stack up now? So your boys positioning not that good, and you're playing against some very mobile attacks, and this is going to be something that you have to see. I mean, okay, you've got, so what do you have strengths in? So let's look at midfielders, strikers. So physicals, we'll look at physicals. Acceleration 14.57, that's not too bad. What about the midfielders? 14.25, one of the best in the league. Strikers, acceleration not the best, but second best, not too bad. For the midfielders also, generally you have a very fast team, so that's going for you. So you may not have your boys may not be tactically super good, but they're at least fast. Now the other thing I'll do is I look at squad depth. Now here you set this up. Now one thing I like to do, I always do this. Currently selected roles for the tactic. We have got what the heck is going on here? Okay, we'll look at squad depth. Yes, now it's populated. Suddenly it looked like you didn't have a single player in your team. All right, all current ability. Okay, so if you've done custom roles, then this will show up. If you go to currently selected roles for your tactic, there's a slight difference between the two. The difference being, one thing though, you can actually change the roles to see who can fit. Interesting little tidbit of information. So like here you got Gerard Moreno. He's the only one who can play as a complete forward. Inside forward, you've got these players. Attacking midfielders, you've got three. Let's assume that you wanted to play this guy as an advanced playmaker. You have Oliver, who comes up top, attacking midfielder. So we've got your players. I see that again here your backline is a bit on. We should be a bit concerned about your backline. Phil Jones is your defender. Okay, positioning 15. Okay, jumping reach 13, not very good. Jemison, you just signed him. Jumping reach 14. Okay, positioning 14. Okay, not too bad. Nico Elvedi, defender right. Okay, I'm looking at other things like your fullbacks. What can you bring to the picture? You still have, oh my goodness, you still have Seamus Coleman. This guy is like, how old is he right now in this game? Your Seamus Coleman, 32 years old, still running, still a horse, I guess. 15, balance 14. Okay. Crossing and dribbling 13 and 12. Okay. We got Nico Elvedi, who is his cover. 13, not too good going forward. So this guy isn't going to be very good going forward. Fullback on the left flank. What do we have? We got Junior Tavares, very nice going forward. Then we've got Federico Di Marco, also very nice going forward. So you got options on the left flank to get forward. Okay, so you have an option right now. If push comes to shove and you need to lock down a flank, so to speak, you can do it with the right flank. You can always use the left flank to punch forward if you needed to. This is the boys that you have in your tactic. I'm thinking, okay, let's try something out with your boys later, and we'll see what we can do. But so far, this is the 4-2-3-1 you've been playing. Now, those are the players that you have. We know that there's certain issues with locking things down. And I'll look at your well, you had a really bad start to the season here, 4 defeats in a row, and then things start looking up for you. Yeah, at least you got off to a half decent start, but then you lost to Spurs. Okay, so it's games like this that I like to analyze. So you lost 4-2. 4-2-3-1 white versus 4-2-3-1 white. 4-2-3-1 versus a 4-2-3-1, the better 4-2-3-1. It makes sense that the better 4-2-3-1 should win. Would I have played a 4-2-3-1 against Spurs? Not in 100 years, because Spurs is probably gonna make it count. So let's look at the shots. Most important thing, let's look at Everton. Shots on goal, 2 very nice attempts. This one turned into a goal. What about those off target? Okay, so now you only got 1 and maybe another one here. Shots hitting the woodwork. Okay, so all right. Okay, this is probably down to opportunities that you got. What about Spurs? Holy cow, Spurs had so many shots. Let's take out the off target ones, and these are everything is on target, and this is all inside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one I should count inside the box. So you got quite a number of shots inside the box. These two, of course, they're not very good chances, but how the hell did this go in? Oh, it's a free kick. Yeah, so things that we can do to improve things, we should throw in again. Not very good. What about this? Harry Kane moves into the box, inside the box. You can't aerial threats. We can slow this down, but it's very apparent to me that your boys have a problem handling threats inside the box. So let's take a look at this again. Match analysis. So we go to team analysis. We look at the shots. How did Harry Kane score the goal? Shaqiri is wide. Gets into the box. Lamela. You can't clear the ball. Boys are deep. They're not very strong in the air as well. Positioning. Once you allow those guys into your half, then there's a chance that they're going to just score goals against you. Carabao Cup 4-5. What in the world is going on in your save? Spurs and Everton are producing some classic matches. That's 15 goals in 2 games. So we're looking at Everton's shots on goal. Very nice. Off target, not very good. But Spurs again. Okay. It's very clear to me that what your tactic is lacking is the ability to deny other teams chances on your goal. That's it. So you're playing very well, but you're giving some of these teams a lot of shots on your target. So we wanna do something different. We wanna see why your tactic is giving up so much. Now here we have a game against 4-2-3-1 white. You played against Huddersfield. It looks like in terms of possession you did better. We like to look at the match stats. Yeah, I don't think you're generating a lot of quality chances as well. Look at the team analysis. Once more into the breach, we go to look at shots on and off target for Everton. Shots on off target for Everton. We have to improve this. Yeah, that's it. I figured as much. So the chances that you have, you're not producing quality chances. So we have to fix that. And we have to find ways in which we can enter an opponent's half and do something with the ball. Now, trading, I dislike this with a vengeance. Yeah, I never give my S-man training control. So if you do that, sometimes what's going to happen is you're going to run into trouble because your players are not going to be developed optimally. So here, if I'm looking at a squad and let's look at the training, you notice everybody's workload is light. So now I'm taking over control of training. I hope. Let's go to staff responsibilities. Yeah, run general training. James Milligan will go. We'll take a day training. We'll show up. Squad. Now we're in control. It's still light, right? So what I do now is I go to the team. You want individual workloads to be heavy. You don't want them to be light. If they're light, you're not developing your players. So let's just hit average. Your overall workload is gonna be. Let's go to average. It'll take a day for it to kick in, I think, because apparently your training, it takes a while for your guys to register training here. It's all gone to medium. Now you can go and to each player here. So we've got one Bernardo Traore. We're training him. Now we can push his intensity to heavy. And what's going to happen? Take one more day. And we look at Bernardo Traore. It's still medium. This is good. It means that I can push my training by one more load and everybody can be heavy. But during a high intensive period, I can drop those guys who look very heavy or those who are risking injury, and I can drop that intensity. Okay, this is good. Bernardo Traore, who we have already told to focus on heavy intensity, we can give me an additional focus training and it will probably take it into very heavy. So here we have one player who needs good work. He needs to work on balance. So we'll continue again. Let's forget about talking to Jurgen Klopp. Hopefully we have enough time to do all this with a squad before the big day, and there we go. It's still medium. Brilliant. So what can you do for your training? You can definitely give these players a heavier workload, right? I mean, when it comes to Traore, he can actually now go and learn one more player trait, and he still probably won't be very heavy. If he's still medium, it means that your overall workload is still, you can still push it. You can still take it up a notch, but this will be perfect for your team. Then it's nice. You get them a bit more focused. Their training becomes a bit more focused. You also reduce the injury susceptibility. For players like Seamus Coleman, you don't want them to, you're worried about the injury susceptibility, so you go to their training development and you make sure that the intensity level is light, but you have the whole team working on those areas of the game that you want them to work on, and you reduce the risk. So this is a much more effective way, in my honest opinion, to develop your players. So if you're going to do this for the long run, that's what you want to do. Financially, I don't think you have a problem. Oh, you do? Slight problems. So, okay, but scouting budget 400, original budget 118 million. Gee, low. There's a lot of money. I come from Kingstonian. They're still poor. What about your under 23s? Do you have any players here who can make it to the first team? Very quickly, I'm looking at Lewis Jones. They say, ooh, he's 19 years old. Bring him back to your club and start playing him, because he has a lot of potential and you can actually make him into a world-class superstar if you start playing him yourself and controlling the matches, basically putting him into systems that you can use. He can fit into one of your systems. I mean, he can fit into your 4-2-3-1 tomorrow. There's no issue with him. And then this guy, Carlos Badal, unless he's on loan at München Lions, whatever for, bring him back. If you can't play him in your first team, sell him off. Make sure that he goes to some other team. Even if you can loan him even to the championship, it's still comparable to München Lions, whoever they are. So make sure that when they're 20 years old, they're either playing for you or they're sold. So at least he's playing for Benfica, right? So you gotta make sure that these guys are either playing for you or they're sold. But do not loan them off. I never loan them off to an affiliate. I never do. If they are good enough for me to keep when they're 20 years old, they should be good enough to play for a team that's either in my league or one league below, but not at München Lions, whoever they are. Manas, Mampala, you have quite a number of good talent that you should be looking at bleeding into your first team. And by the age of 20, they have to be playing in your first team. If you don't play them in your first team, sell them off, refresh your team, and push the under 18s into the first team. So we got Nathan Hersey. So what I would do is basically use a simple method, right? Potential. This is what I do. Just pick like 5 of these and the rest I'll sell off. That's it, very quickly. I just focus in on players that I can fit into my current system of play. Dynamics, now, as you probably know, Gamechanger, the Godfather effect is gone. C'est la vie, it's gone. So we can't really use the Godfather effect anymore. So now we've got to spend some time, and rightfully so, winning the support of our players. All right. So we've done all this. Now it's time for us to take a look at tactics. When I first looked at the tactic, I saw a complete forward attack. Straight and immediately, my first thought was, "Holy cow! What is he trying to do?" Right? You're asking him to do a lot of things on an attack. No wonder you have a lot of long shots. You got this tree on support. These three guys are going to be dropping back to help, and so Dolberg is always going to be on his own. Long shots galore. This is going to create long shots problems. So you might have this issue. So what we do here, you got a roaming playmaker somewhere in the middle over here. I rather change this. Now this is game changer. So what I have to do is this is not like the tactic show I did last season. This is when I have to be in the hot seat later. It's another show and I have to play the game. So I will play it differently. I will not use a roaming playmaker as well. Then I got fullback and attack, wingback and defender. That's not too bad. Sweeper keeper, that's not too bad. But we need to change some of these roles and duties in this team. You have a deeper version of this tactic, and it plays again, a complete forward attack. I have support, struggling to get players forward. Looks like I'm gonna have to make a different version of this tactic too. So we're gonna try one for each match. So prior to kicking off this match, my biggest worry was isolation. If Dolberg goes isolated, the tactic won't really work. Now I've got in my FM Tactics handbook the Draco Dungeon Deep. Now I'm just going to make some slight changes to Draco Dungeon Deep that you will find in the book. And what we're going to do here is we're going to create a high block version of Draco Dungeon Deep, so that what we're going to get is a high press in front. The trick here is also making sure that our wingbacks stay in position when we lose the ball. So we don't want our wingbacks to go closing out early. So for the front group of people, what we're going to do is we're going to tell them all to mark tighter and close down much more and tackle harder. Now you can opt not to give it to the complete forward, so you leave him free essentially, because sometimes you don't want everybody doing it. But here in this version, what I've done is I've given them a close down much more, mark tighter in front. But for the guys at the back, what I've done for the two wing backs behind is, in order for us to play a high block effectively, I do not want my wing backs to go and get themselves into a situation where they close down too soon. Now, for the wing backs, we do something different. We'll tell them to close down less for both of them. We don't want them closing down too early, because they're the only line of defense that we have on the flanks. We want them to drop back, hold their position, and we want the halfback to do the work for us in front. And hopefully, if we're really deep, then the inside forward will come back to support us on the right flank and the wing on attack on the left flank. One thing I like to do is play retain possession sometimes with a combination of pass into space. It sounds like it doesn't make any sense, but actually it does if you think about it this way. PIs override TIs. So what I then do is I go to specific players on the pitch. Those players who are never going to play the risky pass, I tell them to play less risky passes. So it only affects those players who don't have that play instruction. Opposition instructions are largely left yours alone. I added tackling hard on the back line. I also removed tackling hard on any central midfielder. We've also gone in, I left the weaker foot on, but I would change that later in some of the other games. After about 18 minutes with complete possession, we decided, well, okay, fine, we'll just remove the retain possession shot and keep our pass into space. But this instruction hadn't kicked in, so we were still on the old instruction of retain possession and pass into space when this sequence of passes came into play. Oliver looks down the right, and then we work the ball back. Your boys are playing retain possession and they recycle possession. They move the ball all the way to the other pitch. Notice you have a very strong player there, Sissoko. He's attacking, goes down the flank, dribbles right through everyone, and then he scores against Liverpool. Thank God it's not on the cop end. It's a well-worked goal because you do have players in your team that have this kind of blistering acceleration, so you can use them one-on-one and they'll be able to attack flanks which are operated by wingbacks. Well, in the second half, we decided to do the same thing, close down less on our backline, close down much more with the two guys in the middle. We told the wingback to play with few risky passes. We went with the high block with a regular 4-2-3-1. Kind of a crazy thing to do with Liverpool, but part of me wanted them to find a way back into the game. Our possession numbers dropped. We didn't have very good heat maps. We managed to get a couple of decent shots now on target inside the box, and Liverpool had quite a number of chances outside the box, but Jordan Pickford did have a better game in the second half because he had to make more saves from inside the box once we changed to a more aggressive 4-2-3-1 with some ridiculous closing down instructions for our two central midfielders. Alright, for our second match, went with a 4-2-3-1. I like to call cutthroat 4-2-3-1. It's the FM Tactics handbook. Once again, with the high block in front, the two central midfielders not doing anything different, and the two wing-backs at the back still will close down much less on them. As far as team instructions were concerned, more to suss them out. Retain possession, play out the defense, work ball into box. I just want to see what Wolves are going to do. Wolves are defending very well. Sometimes what I like to do in games is I try different things out on structure itself before thinking about going fluid. So in this particular case, we went past into space with roam from position, hoping that we can unlock Wolves. I mean, with so much possession in the game, bordering on 60%, it wasn't too much of a problem for us. During this kind of matches, I'm actually paying a lot of attention to counter attacks to see whether we can push the ante. And the boys are playing pretty well even with a 4-2-3-1 like this. However, I think in this particular match we started seeing a fair few injuries and players were starting to get injured and stretch it off, and we did actually go to the ass man and ask him to pick your starting 11. The good thing about playing a 4-2-3-1 is that sometimes you can create a lopsided 4-2-3-1. You can push the playmaker all the way to one side of the pitch and then hope to unlock the other flank. Something I was thinking of doing because of Sisto's performance in the last game. So this is another option that you can actually try out in some of your games. Pushing the attacking playmaker to the right-hand side of the pitch and using him with sit narrower so that you can actually get the wing back on your right flank to bomb down that flank, which is what we did in this game to put even more pressure on Wolves to get the opening goal. Well, I think for all the pressure that we had, we finally managed to break down a stubborn Wolves side with a corner routine that was well worked. You had the right players attacking the spaces, and Gerrard scored the goal that would decide the match. Everton beating Wolves 1-0. Your team can play both tactics equally well. They can play a deep 4-2-3-1 and they can play a regular 4-2-3-1. The whole trick here with the 4-2-3-1 is to create lots of quality chances in and around the box. And for that, you need to play a complete forward and support so that it moves around a lot. Sometimes you may even need to think about shifting the attacking playmaker to one side of the pitch so that you can draw players to him, unlocking another side of the pitch up. This will also give you the option of launching one of your wingbacks into attack, which is something that we did in this game. Now, going forward, you could even do the same thing with your deep 4-2-3-1 as well. The whole goal here is for you to understand how to use high block and low block in your game. You can also use a normal block in the game. The idea here is you want to be able to put sustained pressure on the opposition, which a 4-2-3-1 brings to the table. It has 4 players who are suitably set up to put pressure on the backline. But when you put that pressure on the backline, you absolutely need to see your boys win the second ball. Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of Gamechanger. If you have any questions, please look me up on Twitter at Bustthenet or addicted2fm.com, my website. Once again, I'd like to thank my patrons for the continued support of this channel. You make these kind of shows possible for the rest of the community. You guys take care, have a good one, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.